Now for business updates across the globe, Rotus Odiri joins us. Good morning, Rotus.
Good morning, Doctor. Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Rufai. Good morning to all our viewers. Very quickly, what to watch today? Not much. It's a light day as far as what to expect. We've got the Central Bank of Russia normally giving us their rate indication. I think they're expecting 8.5 or so. So maybe a 50 basis point climb to 8.5 over in Russia. American Express, they've been having some troubles the last few quarters in terms of their revenues. So they'll be reporting. And then Barbenheimer, Hollywood. It turns out Mission Impossible didn't really open that strong, and now it's facing these two big movies. It's called counter-programming. When everyone is going for one particular genre of a film, studios will release another one which is completely different, and so there's this whole hashtag Barbenheimer thing. So they are both out today globally, and Hollywood is really hoping that
it's out today.
Yeah, it's out today from Christopher Nolan, and then you've got the Barbie movie out as well. So that's what we're going to be seeing. Asian stocks mixed. We're still waiting for that China stimulus. We are still waiting for more indications from the People's Bank of China that is do more than cutting rates. That's what we're seeing over in Asia. The NASDAQ yesterday was suffering its biggest drop. This is the tech-heavy NASDAQ in the United States since March the 9th. We went over Tesla numbers. We went over Netflix. The markets weren't very happy with what they came out with respect to their second quarter earnings. So that really dropped. In Asia, the big news. Do you guys know Mukesh Ambani? Just a background. According to Bloomberg, he's worth almost $100 billion. Forbes has him
He's
at
got the
92.
most expensive house in the world.
400 million, 400, no, it's 400 billion.
It's $1 billion.
Yeah, 400 billion. It's 400 billion. That's far as the value of his real estate. So quickly,
his house personally.
Yeah, but his real estate portfolio, right?
One house that's worth over $1 billion.
He's a rich man. He's the 11th or 12th richest man in the world. The reason why I bring him up, Reliance Industries is his conglomerate.
Yeah.
It's worth about $230 billion. It's the most valuable company in India. In fact, according to them, they have the largest refinery in the entire world as far as petrochemicals. They're in petrochemicals, oil, gas, telcos, Geo. Look, Geo, their 4G company, their phone company, has 430 million subscribers, which is double Nigeria's population. It just shows you how strong India is. So basically, Geo Financial, they are expanding even more. The big news coming out is that they announced last October that they will be spinning off another company from Geo, which is Geo Financial Services, JFS. So it's going to be trading on it's going to be trading on the exchange over in India. Its valuation is 20 billion. So that is already hitting the wire as far as the valuation for the company. So the man's empire just continues to expand. I think we're going to go to the UK now. We just got Turkey in Europe. So we talked about this yesterday and what to watch. Turkey, it looks like there's some sanity returning to Turkey's monetary policy because they've hiked their benchmark rate. They're now heading upwards. The new central bank governor saying that he wants to return some normalcy to monetary policy there. So they increased by 250 basis points to 17.5. The market was expecting an increase to 20%. That's Turkey. UK quickly, we just got retail sales figures in the UK. Plus 7% is what we saw for month on month. For June, the market was expecting plus 0.2%. Favorable weather and other metrics pushing, I guess, folks in the UK to shopping. However, along the same lines, so these are the retail sales coming in at 0.7%. That's the estimate was 0.2. May was revised downwards from 0.2 to 0.1. So they're picking up just a bit. However, consumer confidence, which comes from a research firm called JFK, consumer confidence fell to a half-year high, or rather a low, whereby the average individual in the UK is not very confident about their financial situation and so on and so forth. Interestingly enough, they came out and said this survey was done for the first 2 weeks in July. Hello, MBS. They came out and they told everybody that these numbers came in at this point. To the US, Blackstone, this is a private equity firm. They handle alternative assets. Very great story. Steven Schwartzman and Mr. Peterson, they founded this company back in 1985. They left Lehman Brothers, and they in 2018, they said they would get to $1 trillion in assets under management by 2026. They achieved this yesterday, reaching $1 trillion in assets. By the way, this only puts them, if they are alternative asset managers, if you put them with BlackRock and Vanguard Group and Fidelity Investments, they would rank, this 1 trillion would rank at 18th or 19th, just to show you the depth of the US market. And another thing, 1/4 of that 1 trillion is private wealth. So $250 billion of the money they are managing is for some very, very wealthy people. So it's a new milestone for Blackstone. Still in the US, we move on from there. The Microsoft Activision, the latest one, Bloomberg is saying that the FTC is going to pause the trial. We're still yet to get any comments from the companies, but they're saying they might be open to a settlement. That's what's happening over with Microsoft. And then coming to Africa now, yeah? We've already talked about the decisions to investigate. Is it the register wasn't quite what they say, wasn't no integrity there. But this decision to share 907 billion of the 1.9 trillion, it is very interesting to note that, at least I guess they're listening to the advisors, they are worried about money supply. So they're saying either that 1 trillion is going to go towards the central bank to be used for reserves or for whatever initiatives, that new infrastructure fund. But this is the thing that comes to mind. If the fiscal side is saying that they are worried about increasing money supply and they are holding back on FAC allocations, what does that mean for the Monetary Policy Committee next week? In particular, CRR, that's the cash reserve ratio. Because you remember that effective August the 1st, the cash reserve ratio for microfinance banks has been reduced from 32.5 to 10%. So if the fiscal side is saying, oh, we are worried about money supply, we don't want to pump this 1.5 trillion into the market. No, it's not even misalignment. What it means is that we might not get the reduction in CRR that we've been expecting, because the banks have been complaining about the fact that this money is sterilized and there's nowhere to go. And I have an example of that. I don't know if we have the figures yet. FBN Holdings released their unaudited second quarter results just yesterday. In fact, late last night. After the market closed. Brilliant numbers. Net interest income, the difference between the interest you pay out on your earning, on what you're investing versus what you earn from loans from customers versus what you pay out. 125 billion, 56% climb. Operating profit, look at that, 413% climb. Profit before tax, 414% climb. Really cool. But look at this number. I was looking through the balance sheet of the company. The deposits with the central bank is 1.7 trillion as at half year 2023. This is just for FBN Holdings. This is money that is not earning interest, right? And is part of that cash reserve. So this is one bank. Now think of all the others, right? And so if the fiscal side is saying that we are worried about putting all this money back, that leads me to believe that at the MPC meeting next week, maybe they will hold rates or they will continue to raise them, but they may not reduce the CRR because of the fear of releasing that much money back into the market, which is supposed to be used for lending. We'll have to see what happens in that regard.
So the problem is we have a money problem as we speak today in Nigeria. And the money problem is across all fronts. We are doing an experiment with our Forex that is eating deep into our reserves as we speak. We have too much money in circulation. And as we speak, at the same time, we need to give people money.
It's not an experiment, or they've liberalized the exchange.
As far as I'm concerned, it's an experiment.
Well, that's an incorrect description. They've liberalized it. They've freed it.
It's an experiment. I'm telling you from a historical perspective, because it's not today. We've always done experiments with our Forex regimes.
Is the US experimenting? Every other country where they are floating their currency, is it an experiment?
Yeah, so for them it's not an experiment because they have buffers. They have an economy.
What about Ghana?
They have an economy.
Ghana is floating.
But
South Africa is floating.
We do not have an economy.
Kenya is floating.
Rotus, we do not have an economy, so it's still an experiment. And when we are done with the experiment, I'll remind you, don't worry. So we are doing all of that experiment, and across all fronts, we're having money challenges.
In the short term.
The truth has to be said, be it the short term or the long term, whatever you want to call it, this money experiment we are doing, we need to be very sensible about it.
Okay, how? Tell us how.
And that's why KPMG has been talking about things like...
But KPMG supports it.
No, hang on a minute. That's why KPMG has been talking about, even when we want to give handouts to the people, can we use vouchers? Can we take money out of the equation? Can we try as much as possible?
A voucher is still money into the system. A voucher is a check. You are paying money to somebody.
But you're not circulating cash.
Well, it's still a form of payment.
So it can rest in the account. You're not circulating cash. So KPMG that said that, they knew what they were saying, Rotus.
If I give you a voucher and you sell me your phone, how will you convert that?
I yield the floor. I'm not government.
Correct. If I give you, wait, hold on. We don't want to confuse people. A voucher is a form of payment. if I have a voucher for 100 naira and I go and give it to somebody in exchange for goods, the person that collects the voucher, what are they going to eat the voucher? The voucher has to be converted to cash.
The money rests
right?
in the account.
Well,
it's not like when you're spending cash and adding cash to the circulation.
Do you know M1 and M2?
Yeah.
M2 is still
Simple.
part of depositing
Rotus,
banks. It
let's
still
yield the
goes
floor.
there.
Let's yield the floor to
Let's not
Ayo,
confuse
please.
people.
All right.
Vouchers are still
excellent.
cash.
No, let me just, I want to move away from here to go to India. And
India, okay.
Yes, India. Reports are that India has now outlawed exports of non-basmati white grain rice. That's very bad. And I say this because, as you've mentioned, their biggest countries where they export these areas, Asia and Africa. They talked about the fact that because of poor weather, they are concerned about the spike in rice prices locally, and so they've had to take on this decision.
Yeah.
Now, what's the implication of this for Nigeria and other African countries and Asia markets where they sell to? Already we're grappling with inflation, particularly with regards to food inflation. And when we look at the fact that we get a large percentage of our rice from India, it would then help us to understand that in the near future, we might be looking at prices going up in terms of non-basmati, long grain rice, so to tighten our belts with regards to that. And then on the other side, in terms of tech, today is Friday, I know you usually like to talk tech on Friday.
Yes.
Embraer, the Brazilian company, is
Yeah.
looking to build flying taxis, and they're looking to begin selling in 2026, and they said they already have an order for 3,000.
Yeah.
And I just wondered, is Nigeria ready to also be part of, go on the line to order flying taxis?
Not yet, so a long way away.
Okay.
A long way. Yes,
With
Dr.
India.
Good. Yeah.
India is responsible for 40% of the rice that is out there, exported out there. India now says non-basmati rice cannot go out. Now, what that means is that is going to add to the emerging global food crisis that we worry about, that everyone has warned about. Now, rice, you won't get it so easily from India again. And also, wheat. Russia has even said, look, along that Black Sea, any ship that is seen heading towards Ukraine, southern Ukraine, to go and carry any cargo, will be treated as, going in that direction will be treated as an act of aggression.
Indeed.
And it will be assumed that that ship is carrying military cargo. So wheat supply is also going to be affected. Ukraine is regarded as the food basket of the world. So the global food crisis is what we have to worry about. That is the implication. And countries, developing countries, will be most hit. Although in the case of India, we're told that the farmers, they gain a lot from it, but if their government says we're taking a cautionary approach, that's what the Indian government is saying in that regard. In the last 2 days, we spoke about NatWest. Now, it turns out that Dame Rose has now apologized to Nigel Farage. And also, the Treasury has issued a number of guidelines as to how you close people's accounts.
Yes.
And they need to protect freedom of speech. However, the chairperson of NatWest didn't go as far as saying, okay, you can have your account back. She says, we'll find alternative financial arrangements. That's how far she could go. Yeah. But, Nigel Farage thinks that she's been put up to it by the Treasury. It didn't come straight from her.
Indeed.
Well, Turkey is one subject we used to discuss a lot on in this segment. Now, Turkey has now raised interest rate, 17.5%.
Yes.
But the experts are saying, no, that's not high enough.
Right.
If your inflation is over 40% and you are just pushing the things small, this is the second time this year.
Indeed.
But people expect more from Simsek, who is, an orthodox economist and who have promised orthodoxy. So for orthodox economists, that will be some achievement for them.
Of course, it's
some triumph, even if it doesn't go far.
Return to sanity.
Anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.